I, for one, will be glad when this election is finally over with, and hope that this thing that we have in the White House is finally evicted for good. But we've got all these damn reports about how he's building, how he's having a wall built. This was the wall. A fortress built around the White House in anticipation of riots, or maybe, or to keep the riffraff out, or rather, to keep the riffraff in the White House, because supposedly he's supposed to have a quote-unquote victory party in the White House tomorrow. And so he's going to be walled off against the world. Trump, meaning Trump, of course. But hopefully that this election won't be close. And it's shocking to me that any sane, thinking individual would ever vote for somebody who had absolutely no business running for president in the first place. But that was the media. And CNN really, you know, they're trying to be high-minded and critical about this guy. But, in fact, they're the ones singularly responsible for the whole stupid campaign that he gave in the primaries in 2016. He never had any business even being on the stage with the other candidates. That's how out of place he was. So, anyway, that's my rant on that. So he's got this wall that he's going to have. And then Keith Olbermann just talked about this today, about Trump declaring premature victory. And, you know, it's all this stuff. He thinks he can affect the votes, or he's going to try to have the votes not counted. He's just full of shit. The guy's full of shit. So what his motive is just being insane, or he's afraid that he's going to end up going to jail because he'll be indicted once he's out of the White House, or whatever. Who the hell knows? The media should not cater to this at all. So if he decides that he's going to announce before it's actually official that he's won the election, then the media have absolutely no business covering any speech that he gives. And it doesn't matter anyway. It doesn't hold any legal clout or anything. But I really hope it's not as close as people are talking. It shouldn't even have been close. It's like John Dean the other day, the White House figure, and he said to the extent that, you know, he can't understand how he could possibly, given Trump's obvious incompetence, obvious horrific performance, how anybody could vote for him. How it could even be that close. How the election could even be that close. But there's a lot of stupid people out there. There's a lot of racist people out there. There's a lot of sexist people out there. There's a lot of xenophobic people out there. It's the white male dudes, the ones without a college degree, that are his biggest backers. And this article the other day, it was kind of full of shit in a way. Like, this article really had no business even being published, because it's stating all the obvious that countless authors have written, that I have blathered about for 35 years to anybody that would listen. White dudes have been knocked off their perch of privilege, and they'll whine that they're not privileged. Well, yeah, they are. They are. They hoarded everything. They hoarded all the resources. They hoarded the quote-unquote best jobs. And they had the crappy jobs that they dominate in. They had that pay inflated because of the family wage idea. And that women and minorities of both sexes had to just make do with the crumbs because the white dudes are better. And those white dudes would say they got it on merit, which of course they never did. And I remember the first time they whined about it was over affirmative action. They thought it was affirmative discrimination, like they ever got their jobs because they were the most qualified. They usually were underqualified. They were usually stupid, but it was assumed they had families to support. So they got the jobs over a woman or over a minority person. So it was a way to even the field. But boy, they would throw a fit. The little bit of privilege or the little bit of the economic pie, and I'm not answering that stupid phone. Sick of the solicitations. But, and that's been ringing off the damn hook. But they've been doing this, ranting about this for years, about how abused they are, because especially women, they hate it that women are becoming more and more independent, whether they have a high-paid job or they don't. The men think they're entitled to jobs, but the problem with the dudes was, there was a time when I felt sorry for them. There was a time long, long ago that I felt sorry for them because the unions were being gutted, the trade agreements were being ruinous, that were being put forward during the Reagan and Bush years, and the jobs were being sent overseas. And I ranted about that for years. But you know what? The white dudes kept voting these people in. These people that were picking their pockets. And because they thought the problem was all those minorities and all those women were taking their jobs away from them. But instead of them keeping voting against their interests, self-interest. And you know what? Years ago, I was like beating my head on a damn brick wall. And I thought, years ago, I just wrote these idiots off. And this article, it's about COVID and why white males think it's so, why they think he's doing such a great job. I mean, it's just stating the obvious. It's all about the dudes wanting to keep their privilege, or they think they're being so beleaguered. And there's a guy that's written a book about the white dudes, and I bought it, but I haven't gotten around to reading it yet. And let me see. What's it called? Yeah, it's called Angry White Men. So it's this book, and let's see. Well, I can't zoom it back. But anyway, it's called Angry White Men, and it's by Michael Kimmel. But he wrote a book stating the obvious about the males' aggrieved entitlement. So this is all about their entitlement. And so this author, they quoted here about the white dudes, and it's by the name of Arlie Hochschild, and I'm sure I've mangled her name like I do 90% of the people I talk about. But she wrote a book called The Second Shift years ago about women. You know, they work in these jobs, these married women, of course, these respectable women, not the scum of the earth single women, but these respectable married women. They have their jobs or they have their careers, and then they come home and all they've got another job to do because their husbands are too fucking lazy to help. So she wrote a study about that, and that was years ago. So she's been writing books ever since about different things, and she's just stating the obvious, what's been known for decades. And she wrote a book called Strangers in Their Own Land. Oh, poor babies. I'm gonna crank it or bring out the violin because I just feel so sorry for these poor little babies. She described her subject's deep story in a metaphor of a long line of Americans standing on a hill waiting to get over the top to the American dream. American dream was always a bunch of shit if you were not a white dude. But as they stand there tired and eager, they see that certain people are cutting in line in front of them. Cue the violins. Women, African Americans, and immigrants are getting ahead, boosted by the government and affirmative action programs. Cry me a goddamn river. Cry me a river. That's your own damn fault. Cry me a fucking river. You kept voting Republicans in. That would further outsource your jobs and lower your pay. Don't blame other people for wanting to get a piece of the pie. It's your own damn fault. So, yeah, they're turned to their pride being American because so many of their jobs have been sent overseas. But I don't even know why this article was even written, to be honest, because this about how Kentucky men feel or whatever, however these males feel. I don't care about them anymore because they screwed up. They screwed up a long time ago. And they had it too damn easy. They were overpaid to begin with, and it was all at the expense of minorities and especially women. They were overpaid, women were underpaid, and that family wage crap was the reason that women were and still remain grossly disadvantaged in the economy. But men lose a little bit, they throw a fit because they're entitled. So, yeah, this coronavirus thing is just, it's doesn't mean anything. So what if they support Trump? They support Trump whether there's coronavirus or there's not coronavirus because they're a bunch of bigots, they're a bunch of sexists, and they're a bunch of entitled dudes. And as far as I'm concerned, the Democrats are better off if they don't even try to pander to them because they're just useless. And I don't care if they're outsiders. It's just stating stuff that's already been written 100 times before. But getting back to the election, yeah, who knows how it's going to turn out. I'm going to say Biden is, but I'm not going to bet against Trump and whatever shenanigans he tries to pull tomorrow. So it's going to be a rough 24, 48, 72 hours. And I'm done.